So, I still like Equestria girls. And we're finally back with Equestria Girls Redesigns Part 2!
Peggle 2!
It only took me like, what, 4 months or so to actually get around and finishing this. I'm sorry. But as you can guess, this is a follow-up video to my first ever video I uploaded to this channel, and boy howdy, you sure can tell by the audio on it. Since it's the one I really like the idea of, but I definitely gotta go back to one day. I wanted to blend this kind of Y2K punk with a bit of academia to give her a unique style while also contrasting her against Twilight. I'm still surprised so many of you watched this and wanted more content. Like, how did any of you understand what I was saying? I sound like I'm underwater. I mean, if you like that, I can always bring it back. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be redesigning water before I drown. But seriously, thank you all so much for the support and comments. It means a lot, and I do try to read and respond to as many comments as I can. Now, you don't have to go back and watch part 1. I know I don't exactly watch redesign videos in the correct order most of the time, but don't tell anyone I told you that. That's our secret, okay? Hey, do you think you could, lend me some money? But it will help with recapping what the Equestria Girls franchise is, what bits I've rewritten of the story, which is mostly just being set in university, as well as just seeing how I've drawn the main 7, and make more sense when I refer to some of their design aspects. So if you're fine with me skimming over those details and jumping straight into the video, then keep watching. For part 2, I'm going to be focusing on mostly redesigning the faculty staff for both Canterlot University and Crystal Prep. This is mainly because I started out redesigning Celestia and Luna like I teased in part 1, and then started to look at the other faculty staff like Cadance and Cheerilee and thought they could use with an update too. And before I knew it, I just drawn a bunch of adults. So if you're looking for characters like Flash, Sentry, or Trixie this video, they've unfortunately been pushed back to part 3. But I do promise not to take as long getting part 3 done, so hopefully you'll be seeing them soon. I also won't be doing in-depth character pages for each faculty member, like I did with the main 7. This is mostly because, they're teachers. Their role kind of tells you what they do already, so I don't think we need an in-depth story for them. However, before we get into anything, I want to tackle some amendments. I thought to use this time to get some quick fixes to the last video's designs, although it's mainly for one pony, Sunset Shimmer. Remember in part 1 where I couldn't really figure out what it was that made her design just not click for me? Well, as a couple of you pointed out in the comments, I just forgot about her leather jacket. Like completely. Somehow in all of the references on screen, my sketches, and the editing process, I just didn't think to give her her leather jacket, and was shocked she looked so incomplete, so now she has one. I wanted to keep the cropped look of the outfit and frame the time more, so I decided to give her a cropped leather jacket with some silver studs, as well as featuring a cutie mark as a pin on the collar, since I also managed to forget to include that too in the original. Guess I just sort of assumed the flame on her jeans was enough reference. With that out of the way, let's finally get into redesigning those pony teachers. First on our list is the head at Canterlot University herself, Dean Celestia. Now, I'll just be honest with this speed paint, it is not at all representative of the final picture you're gonna see. I don't know if I was just rusty to digital art, or the pressure of recording the whole thing in one go got to me, but I ended up tweaking so many elements off camera and redrawing the face completely. But I might be jumping the gun a bit, so let's just focus on the key details for now. For Celestia, redesigning her was a breeze, because anything was going to be more interesting than her original design. To start off, I wanted to work in a way more posh, regal horse rider look, similar to Headmistress Bloodgood from Monster High, as you can see in my references in the corner. Something to tie into the whole equestrian horse theme, but also befitting of an older university vibe, and maybe give a little insight into something she likes to do as a hobby perhaps, especially we know that both her and Luna really loved camp and are very active. I also wanted to work in a bit of a shoujo style, with a very big and sharp eyes full of colour and highlights like stars, almost make them look like stars you'd see at sunrise just before it was fully day. For her outfit, I didn't want it just to be a one-to-one equestrian rider uniform, so I chose to snatch the waist a bit to help pop the bottom, while throwing on some ruffles, as well as looser flared sleeves that feature ruffles, kind of like a bouquet of flowers. Instead of bell bottoms, she's got trousers, baggily tucked into her gold riding boots. When I tell you these trousers had me fighting for my life, just look at how many times I'm undoing and restarting it. I'm amazed I actually finished this. I wanted to snap. I think I wanted to change them to aviator pants last minute, but I kept going back and forth on it because I thought it'd stand out too much, so I just ended up struggling for a solid 2 minutes before finally getting it down. I made her collar mimic wings because I'm surprised the original design didn't play with anything to reference the whole being an alicorn princess, but oh well. She has a high-rise collar instead of that dinky one, with a big ascot tie with lots of jewels and gold. And I thought to change her cutie mark from a pin to more of a hair clip with a gold laurel running around the back of her head. Colouring was my favourite part for once while drawing. For her main colours, I just inverted them, putting more emphasis on the purple and lilacs, with the golds and yellow becoming accents. Since I think the yellow tends to get washed out against her white skin, or vice versa, with her skin getting more of a yellow undertone than the pink one she should have. If that makes sense as a sentence, I kind of reread that and even I'm lost now. But for my favourite bit, it was the hair. I really wanted to try and capture the same wispy, elegant, flowing mane style her pony form has, since her human form was just so lackluster in that department. Which I never really got because they understood how to do it with later characters, so could you really not go back and update Celestia Luna with that? Either way, I tried to colour it in the style of a Milky Way, with lots of colour and overlapping flows, and I swear it looks better in the final result where I actually applied the proper stars and glow effect over it. Please believe me. Source, trust me bro. Overall, not much I can really say about Celestia. I mean, she's Celestia. She's the dean of the university, so you wouldn't really see her too often other than formal events or special talks. However, she's always got a gentle and welcoming warmth to her, while still being eager about her job and getting things done. Unless it's stopping a magical takeover for the 5th time, in which her and Luna have really been dropping the ball on that. And here's the final result. I'm much happier with how she turned out after all the tweaks. See, trust the process and me doing 20 million touch-ups off screen. Who would have thought? For the final layouts, I chose to go with this Fruitiger Metro inspiration. Not really sure where this inspiration came from, but I really love the final result, and it took me ages to draw them, so hope you like them too. I also want to give a big shout out to her hoof heel patterns on the boot. I was really proud of that, so you will be looking at it. You know what they say, you can't have the sun without the moon. Don't fact check me on that, I also did not look it up. Just like how you can't have Celestia without Luna. Out of the two sisters, Luna was the one who needed this redesign the most to me because, come on, like what? Her skin tone was not matching either of her pony designs. How did you whitewash a pony?
What? Why? What's wrong?
Ah, my color's coming off, I'm turning white!
Not to mention her hair being completely different in both color and style. Other than the top, she's the same sort of fashion as Celestia, which means their silhouettes are almost identical. Get it together! So for Luna, I started off with a sketch concept, something I do for the rest of the teachers, after the learning experience of just drawing Celestia straight away. I know I really wanted to play up the opposites between her and her sister. Where Celestia is more modern, I wanted Luna to be more retro. Where Celestia has diamonds, Luna has circles. Where Celestia gets gold, Luna gets silver. You get the idea. I also made sure to make Luna slightly smaller too, since I think they could have exaggerated the heights between them way more. My main source of inspiration for Luna was going for that 60s mod fashion, kind of referencing her original collar design she had going on, since I actually really liked that bit of her design. But I wanted to match it more with a typical blazer with the big cuffs adorned with the faces of the moon, however still featuring some stark colourful eyeshadow, which I try to work in the turquoise of her eyes off. Some of you might remember in my Monster High video how I mentioned my problem with G3 Claudine was how she has way too many moon motifs going on in like every part of her design. Well, call me a hypocrite because that's all I did with Luna. If there was a space to put a circle, I put one in there. If I could slap a crescent moon, I did. I just did anything to add shapes and patterns because she didn't really have anything going on and I thought it'd make her more visually interesting. This time, I actually captured the hair process, and I loved making it this wavy Milky Way full of stars and glitter. I also really loved her curled fringe and the headband at the back of the head that eventually becomes more of a stained glass design. I wasn't really sure how I came to the idea of a hooped headband. It sort of reminds me of the Loyal Freeze design motifs from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like a little. I think Luna is the more seen of the two on the campus. Being the younger sibling, she can relate a little bit more to the younger students, being the Vice Dean of Student Affairs and Guidance Counselor. She's also got a door open in a trusting environment. However, that doesn't stop her being able to put her foot down when things aren't running the correct way, and she needs to get her job done and out before the evening. Last thing she needs to do is overtime and an unruly university. I don't know, I'm sort of running out of bits to say since I'm doing a lot of tweaking and changing my mind, but I think Luna's ruffles turned out the best out of the two. With the pink, it really looks like a bunch of roses in her sleeves, compared to Celestia's, that are kind of like a yellow flower? Maybe daffodils? I don't know, I'm sort of just making this up. And here's the finished result. I'm so happy with how Luna turned out. She's definitely my favourite of the sisters. Could I have held back on the moons and circles? Yes. Does it still look fun? Definitely. And just like Celestia, big shout out to her hoof heel patterns on her go-go boots that you can just about see. For once, I actually didn't hate drawing shoes, so now all of you get to look at them. If I was redesigning all the princesses, there's no way I could leave out my favourite one, Cadance. Also, the day after I finished Cadance was the day they announced that new Cadance Bishojo figure. The way the world just aligned for me, iconic. With her initial sketch, I wanted to play around with different ideas of posing, colours, and fashion. I think in terms of original design, Cadance had the best result out of all of them, since I think she just looks the nicest, and the only issue is her fashion just doesn't really scream anything. But I look at her and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Cadance, I see that. I look at Celestia and Luna, I don't know who they are. That's Cerise and Lola. Where my girls at? Where my girls at? So, with the idea of wanting to spruce up her fashion, I thought to really play up the princess aspect. And what's a better way to scream princess than working in some Hime Garu inspiration? Wow, another Alpine redesign where he worked in some Garu elements, how original. Can we get you anything? I'll have Garu elements in my redesigns with some pastel color schemes. How original. And can I get either a blouse or leg warmers? Daring today, aren't we? I just thought Himegaru with its princess-like theming would be perfect to add in some big hair and excuse of using a tiara and bows, with lots of frills and lace trimmings. But I also did work in some Kogal elements with her loafers and big old bow. Other than that, I also wanted to work in some Chanel influence to reference Crystal Prep being a more fancy, richer university compared to Cancelot, but also still read as a formal uniform, because I wanted Cadance to read as a recent graduate and fresh face to the world, who's only just hit her mid-20s, and she's already the dean of her university. But don't let her appearance and bubbly attitude fool you. She follows a strict and tight schedule and gets business done, while also having some time for fun on the weekends, probably because someone else offered to take the workload off for her. With colours, I do wish I maybe used a bit more dark blue and purples to really give that old money and rich attitude, and definitely sell a more cohesive uniform design. But I think the bright mint and purples are just really fun and bubbly. It's not like any of this is real. I'm drawing a human world based on colourful ponies. We can excuse reality, especially considering the main 7 are magical superhero girls. Sorry if I don't have too much to say, but I think the speed paint really speaks for itself this time. Gold just suits Cadance, so I gave her a bunch of it. She's going for more Himegaru, so her makeup has lots of white accents and gem face stickers. She's giving chic academic style, so let's throw in some Argyle for extra measures. And here's the finished piece. I love how Cadance turned out, especially all her glittery makeup and sparkly hair. I also really love her pose, especially how she's hitting such a casual noble woman's laugh. You know the one that goes... Oh, sound like a little gnome. What am I actually saying? While on the topic of Crystal Prep, we can't leave out Cadance's right-hand man and Twilight's older brother, and the one that probably takes the most of the paperwork, Secretary Shining Armor. Well, Shining Armor barely offered anything to the movies, having only like 2 speaking lines in friendship games, I think. I thought it'd be fun to include a guy in the lineup for once, and try and add some more personality to this milquetoast looking dude. First things first, yes, he has been twinkified. Get hit with the twink ray. Twink get twinked. While Shining Armor and My Little Pony was in the Royal Guard and had a very clear stocky, chesty build because of it, Equestria Girls is not one and the same, and I mean, look at this man. Tell me he wasn't already a twink. So instead of bulking him up, I actually did the opposite, deciding to make him more slender and pretty boy-esque. This helps him match Cadance's vibe more, as well as just making him look more elegant, pretty boy, head of the student council, even though he's actually an alumni who was then promoted to a secretary. I didn't really have much of an idea/reference for him, as you can tell by the lack of references on this page, but I was picturing one of those anime idol boy groups whenever they do like school events and they all have school uniforms. Something that's fashionable but also not really fitting of a school environment. Instead of giving him medium length hair or a mullet, I decided to give him long hair pulled into a shoulder ponytail that frames his smug face more, as well as a purple sweater vest to match his sister Twilight, a loose shirt pulled up on the arms, and some smart trousers with suspenders, and loafers with one of those overshoe protector thingies. You know, the ones you see in like an old fashioned? You know the ones, right? Like, is it slacks? I don't know. You know what I mean, right? For colours, I included that dark blue I was initially thinking to apply to Cadance, while also taking in the browns of Cadance's loafers to help match them more. I also chose an off-white yellow to contrast his shirt against his white skin, otherwise it just would have all blended together. For details, I worked in different elements of his cutie mark around his design, so his belt is the shining star, his tie resembles his shields at the ends, and one thing I thought was really clever was putting the stars on the suspenders. However, I probably should have erased the edges on them to make them look sharper, because now it just sort of looks like he has flowers on his suspenders. They're stars, I promise. For details, he was super easy. Adding some stripes on his trousers and shirt to seem more old-fashioned, slapping a checkered pattern on his tie for that academic vibe, and an Argyle sweater vest that was inspired by Twilight's. Some say you can still see her ghost in the speed drawer. My only gripe with him was giving him gold accessories with his earrings and his shoe studs, but then silver shirt cufflinks and stars? I don't really know what I was thinking with that one. I don't think the metals blend well together. Maybe I was thinking a little bit more Maya Rain from Fantastic Fashion with her two metals that don't mix. And here's the final result. I'm pretty glad with how he turned out, considering he's the first boy to appear in this redesign series, but also just happy to see him with a bit more interesting fashion design elements. Back to Cancelot. Let's focus on some regular faculty, like teacher Miss Cheerilee. Another unfortunate victim of whitewashing because they purposely flipped her hair and skin colors around and it still haunts me. Other than the excessive patterns and whatever her boots had going on, I actually like Cheerilee's design a lot. It's cute, simple, and it really does read as a young teacher you'd see pop up randomly in your school to teach you art or English. I know Cheerilee teaches the equivalent of primary school to kids, or elementary school for my American viewers. Hi 45% of you. And in the movies, the school seems to be a mix of a high school / middle school, because why will Apple Bloom and the other kids there? So I just imagine Cheerilee is finishing up her teaching degree and getting the chance to be a teacher's assistant at uni, only fully subbing for simple classes, all to get that practice in before she tries to apply for an elementary school position, where she truly feels her calling and the help to inspire and guide the next generation. For her design, I wanted to give her a smaller pear-shaped body, however I ended up covering it with her loose flower cardigan, so you wouldn't really know in the final result unless it was pointed out. For the rest of the outfit, I wanted to keep it simple, with a flower choker, these bloom-like silk sleeves, crafty bell bottoms with pockets that look like flowers, and her daisy cutie mark as patches sprinkled all over to give a little boho chic feel. I also kept the freckles they added to her Equestria Girls designs, because I thought it'd pop off really well against her darker skin, kinda like Applejack or Big Mac, and I think they look really cute. Colour scheme wise, I thought the best way to complement her purple skin was with pastel yellows and greens, also keeping the browns to her jeans, although I do kinda wish I maybe made them light blue, but the brown does help pop the yellows more. I really love how her light pink hair looks, really giving Pink Friday on this one. One issue I did have was with her sandals. As you might be able to tell, I can't draw feet very well, but I did try my best, even if they do really stand out to me, and they're kinda just protruding there. Don't look at them. What are you a little freaky? Gonna look at the feet? And she's all done. Overall, I think she's pretty neat. I love how cute and sweet she looks, and I'm very proud of the jeans. I was worried I might have overdone the flower petal motifs on them, but I think the whole thing works really well together. I must admit, Granny Smith was a late addition to this video, but we couldn't leave Gam Gam behind. I kept going back and forth whether to really include her because the idea of her being the school cafeteria lady at her age just doesn't really make sense. But then again, what else does she really have going on? Who am I to stop her having hobbies? Let her go live. Plus, it's always fun to draw some old people. Really helps break it up when you're drawing a bunch of young people all the time. I imagine Granny Smith likes to help out with the cooking in the university from time to time, as an old favour to Celestia. but also giving her the chance to see Applejack and her friends while at school, and making sure they're eating enough. And when Granny Smith's in the kitchen, everyone's going to be eating enough. Outfit-wise, I liked her OG colour scheme, but I just sort of hated the fit, so other than squashing her size to be a little smaller, I changed her rolled up top to more of a billowy blousey shirt with open slits by the arms, and a checkered skirt with frilly apron and cowboy boots to match Applejack's, and get rid of those weird welly boot things she had going on. Were they welly boots? Were they thigh-high boots? I don't know, but now is not the time to serve Granny Smith. I also really love the idea of giving her a hairnet so that her hair bun would look more like an apple. Is it passing the health board test? No. Is it a funny and cute detail? Yes. But other than that, I also left the shawl the same. I also thought to give her little granny glasses she sometimes uses, because it just felt like a cute detail to add. Another thing I wanted to add was a pie patch as her name tag, not only to reference her cutie mark, but also tie it into all the apples having patches in their clothes, since I imagined Apple Bloom was the one that would make them, and why wouldn't they wear something she made? I really don't have a lot to say for her. She's sort of just a humble old lady, and I swear, that's just jam on her apron and ladle. I didn't expect it to turn out so reddish, it was meant to be more purple. And here's the finished result. I really love how she looks. I was a little hesitant since I couldn't really picture changing her too much, and was worried it was just going to be a very similar design. But I think she stands out on her own, and I'm really happy with it. Bonus time! In the initial lineup, I wanted to include Big Mac, and possibly have him replace Granny Smith as the cafeteria lady, as well as just going along with Cheerilee. However, considering I redesigned Granny Smith and kept her as the cafeteria lady, I sorta didn't know what to do with Big Mac, but I thought to include him anyway. And he marks the third victim of our color washing, because what is that? That's just a human skin tone. Why is he pink? Could you not have made him red? You've made other characters red. What was the problem with red? However, my biggest issue with Big Mac wasn't even his skin tone like the other characters, or him not even being that big. It was more with him still being a teenager in school. Well, it was clarified by one of the writers on Twitter that he was actually a senior and implied to have graduated possibly between one of the movies/specials. This always felt like a bit of a patching situation over a bigger issue, because what concerned me more was making Cheerilee someone that was the same age as Big Mac, and an on and off crush before we just sort of dropped that and introduced more options, and then settled on one of them out of the blue that no one really cared about. No shade to Sugar Bowl fans out there, live your truth, you won in the end. I just do not care for her. Was now an adult, and a teacher at that. But Big Mac is a student, and a child. Is that not a little weird? So my main goal was to make him look more adult and mature looking, because no, we're not repeating that situation. To contrast Shining Armor's twinkness, I made sure Big Mac was big. He's tall, broad, burly, and features similar design motifs to Applejack, but with his own original twists, such as the crop top being more of a vest and the tight shirt being tucked in, and his bell bottoms not having rips but instead flared at the bottom. I also gave him a mullet because he basically already had one going on, and I think it just looks cool on him. Once again, there's apple patches on his jeans, made by his little sister to reference his cutie mark, and I wanted to include a little ascot and handkerchief given to him by a certain someone, as hinted in the pattern. It seems like the apples love to keep their partner's handkerchiefs on them, I suppose. I also didn't intend for this, but he strangely looks like the chill guy meme. I guess he just is a chill guy after all. As I mentioned with Applejack's story in the last part, she's the first of her family to go to university, with Big Mac graduating high school and going straight into work to keep the farm going. However, he drops by the uni from time to time to help make deliveries for Granny Smith, and maybe pop by and visit a certain teacher on his time off to see how things are going. And here's his finished result. I'm really happy with how his design turned out, even if it is just a whole new character at this point. But then again, I guess that's what a redesign is for, just redesigning into a whole new thing sometimes. And with that, that's all the redesigns and all of the faculty staff accounted for. Sorry, I wasn't really in the mood to redesign him, so we're just gonna pretend he's not real. Are you still here? Leave! I'm really happy with how everyone turned out, but if I did have to choose, I'd have to say Luna, Cadance, and Big Mac are my favourites of the lot. But I'd love to hear who your favourites are in the comments, or even if you have any critiques on them. But no critiques or comments on my bestie, the airbrush tool. Yes, I may have over-abused it this video, and yes, I promise I'm gonna mix it up next time, I swear. Bleak! Also, let me know how you feel about some of the channel updates. I really hope you like them. I just kind of thought since it's a new year, I should maybe update and restart some assets. But with that, I hope you had a good time watching, and have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!